Hey guys, so if you have ever had a look on my Instagram page and gone into my story highlights, or if you happen to watch my stories often, you'll know that I am a bit of a pancake lover. And I have a real knack for being able to make pancakes fit my macros, whether I'm bulking and I need my meal to be 1,000 calories, or whether I'm cutting and I need my meal to be 250 calories. And I can still make the same size stack of pancakes and hit either way and make it either high carb or moderate carb, make it high protein or low protein, depending on what macros I'm trying to hit. So I wanted to give you a few tips today on how you can tweak a couple of different ingredients to make sure that the pancakes that you're making, or any treat that you're making, is going to be in line with your goals. So starting off with the base, I like to use an oat powder. You can use a normal flour, of course. For some people, using a standard flour is not necessarily an option, and they may have issues digesting it. So using oats is always a good option. You can use whole oats and just blend them along with your other ingredients, or blend them first if you want it to be really fine. Or I buy this one from Bulk Nutrients and it's already powdered, so it's like a flour anyway, but it's made from oats. Obviously, how much of your floury base you're going to use is going to affect your macros quite a bit. So it's something to look at is, what do you want your ratios to be? I'd use a much greater ratio of my base if I'm wanting it to be a higher carb stack, or just enough to be able to bind it together if I'm making it into a low carb stack. With picking your proteins, I quite often will cook with this one when I'm on low calories. This is a mix of casein and whey protein isolate together. I like the Thermo Whey because it has a couple of activating ingredients that make you feel like you're nice and full as well. However, using a normal whey protein isolate, if that's what you have at home, it will work well as well. One thing to consider when using a whey protein for cooking is that it doesn't necessarily behave like a flour, even though it looks like flour. So you need to make sure that there are other binding ingredients to hold it together, otherwise it'll end up sort of sludgy. I'm going to be using a casein protein, a pure casein protein today. And like I said, with that, it tends to bind just that little bit better. Another great option is to use a plant-based protein. This one here is a really good option if you are plant-based or you have issues digesting lactose. So this earth meal is a protein and a carb mixed together. So essentially it's a meal replacement shake, which basically just means it's this and this already together. So that can be a great one for cooking with because it's already protein and your carb mixed together. And then you can just say add your banana and your chia seeds and your milk or milk substitute and mix that up, and you have a vegan pancake option as well. Plant-based proteins tend to be much better for cooking with because they are made from either pea or rice or some sort of plant. Obviously, they behave a lot more like a flour when they're cooking rather than turning to mush. You can look at other ways to add protein. You actually might not want to put protein in your pancakes at all. Maybe you don't like the idea of protein powders. That's okay, there's a few other really great options. Using whole egg is a really good way to bind your pancakes to make them really nice and fluffy and hold together well when you flip them and cook through and get those nice big air bubbles. Using egg white when you're trying to cut out calories is a really good way to do that. I don't have any egg whites here at the moment in a thing, but egg whites mixed with a little bit of oat flour or normal flour and half a banana is a really good way to get a nice fluffy little pancake really simply, and quite a high protein count and quite low calorie thanks to the egg white. Using half a banana instead of a whole banana is obviously an easy way to cut out 50, 60, 70 calories depending on the size of the banana. Once again, I'll weigh it. I don't necessarily just track medium-sized banana because medium-sized banana is definitely a matter of your perception of what a medium-sized banana is. Something like this, I would guess that when I take the peel off, it weighs about 85-ish grams. However, even though I'm quite good at eyeballing it, I just weigh it anyway. It takes like 3 seconds. Another non-protein powdered-based way to get protein into your pancakes is to use cottage cheese. Once again, really good for binding. So using a whole egg or using egg whites or using cottage cheese, you can also use chia. Chia is a great option for binding as well, but cottage cheese can be a really good one. For cooking in the pan, yes, you need to track the oils that you use. So if I'm cutting and I'm wanting to be really light on my oils and keep them as minimal as possible, I'll use a spray. Bear in mind, if you use lots of spray, it's just the same as using that equal amount in butter or in a pouring oil. So just because it comes in a spray and it says like 1 calorie spray, if you're doing a 6-second spray, it's not going to be 1 calorie, don't kid yourself. So what I'd actually do with these to know how much oil I've used, if I'm tracking, particularly when I'm on very low calories and I don't want my coach to pull more food away from me, what I do is I weigh the can, I tar weight it to 0, I spray the pan, and then I put it back on, and whether it's -1 gram or -6 grams or -15 grams, that's what I track because that's how much I've actually used. So doing like a tar weight, using it and then weighing the difference, that's the best way to make sure you're accurately tracking how much oil you're using. With butter, I scrape off 5 or 6 grams into the pan. Even 3 grams will get you quite a good little base on a pan. You don't necessarily need a whole lot. However, usually if I'm using butter, it's because I want it to flavor my meal and I've got the extra calories to play with. So that's another option. For toppings, I love peanut butter. But when I'm cutting and I can't afford the extra fats, peanut butter powder is a great option. So what peanut butter powder is they've taken peanuts, they've ground them all up, turned it into a peanut butter, and then they extract all of the oils so that you're just left with the dry material from the peanut butter. So that is what the powder is. It's just dry peanut butter with all of the oil extracted. And you mix that up with water to create your own peanut butter again. It's not quite as delicious, but it is a really good compromise when you're dieting because the amount of this you can have versus the amount of that you can have for the same amount of calories, it's quite a big difference. Essentially, the serving size for the same amount of calories will almost double for this here. And these small swaps are what makes a big difference. Like I said, from a 1,000 calorie stack right down to a 250 calorie stack. Because your toppings count too. On the topic of toppings, this is a salted caramel sauce. It's a no sugar option. This I've gotten from Woolworths, so it's a product you can get definitely in Australia. I'm sure America has similar options. And this one here, the sugar-free maple syrup, both really good options. This one is quite thick. It's like what you would pour over the top of ice cream or into a milkshake. Very, very delicious. And so one serving of that is 20 mils and it's only 5 calories, which is crazy. So 20 mils is actually quite a lot as well. So you're drizzling over things, you're probably using less than that. I mean, I guess it depends on what you like with toppings, but I use 5 or 6 mils of it anytime I've used it. And when it comes to pancakes, this is usually my go-to. So I love the sugar-free maple syrup. It's a really nice option to be able to hit that same flavor, hit that same little point where it just feels like you're having something that's a real treat without going over your calories. So they taste just as good, but the calories aren't there. If you've got the extra calories, a standard maple syrup is always going to go down real well, and you've got that little bit of a thicker texture for it as well. I tend to like to put cinnamon in my pancakes, but that is just a flavor thing, whether I've made it a vanilla or a salted caramel flavored protein in it, mixed with the banana and cinnamon. For me, that flavor combination is just amazing. They taste really good. I'll put a whole banana in versus like a half a banana if I'm making like a diet stack. I also don't actually think you can taste the banana in the pancake. For people who are like, I don't want my pancakes to taste like banana. I mean, if you make the whole base with just banana and protein and egg mixed in, it does taste like banana, but if you're using oats, not really. Because it's just not that much compared to the amount of what you're eating. So once you cook it and you've got all the other flavors in there, particularly the cinnamon and whatever flavor your protein is, I don't think you can really taste it. The ones that I'm going to be making today are on the bulk side because a 200 calorie meal that's really voluminous for me right now is not aligned with my goals. I'm trying to get as much food into a small space as possible, whereas when dieting or trying to lose weight, I'm trying to get as much volume in for as little calories as possible. So little swaps make a big difference. So that's a few ways to be able to play with your pancakes in making it either a high calorie or a low calorie treat, is to just make small swaps between ingredients. Okay, let's get cooking. That is 87 grams of banana. I would guess that when I take the peel off, it weighs about 85-ish grams. I'm going to go with about 60 grams of oats. It's 25 grams of protein powder. Shake of cinnamon. I don't track spices. If you're cooking something in like a bag of spice where there's like maybe 6 or 8 tablespoons worth of something, then I would track it. But to just shake some in, it's very, very minuscule. It's probably, I don't know, 3 calories or something. Once again, I'm using a whole egg for the fact that it's higher calorie and adds some extra fats in there, which is aligned with my current goals, and it tastes good and makes it really fluffy. I add full cream milk if I'm on high calories. I'll add either a skim milk, an almond milk, or just water if I'm on very low calories. Good, so you want it like a cake batter consistency where it's thick but it still runs. 3. So that's 3 grams of butter that I've just dropped in there, which is actually quite a lot of butter. Like, it's plenty to line a pan. You can't forget about the additional additions of your fat sources. And you can, but it's quite often a big part of the reason why most people don't understand why a calorie deficit isn't working for them. So it's not working, they're just not tracking everything. And all of those sorts of things really do add up to tens, 20s, hundreds of calories over the course of your day or week, depending on how you cook and how much you leave out. I feel like it's just so much more aesthetically pleasing when you've got a stack of 4 or 6 pancakes as opposed to like one really big one. So I do that. One tip when it comes to making pancakes is, I think everybody knows the one where you wait for bubbles to appear before you flip it over. Depending on what your mixture is made up of, sometimes there'll be a lot of bubbles before it's firm. So give it a little jiggle. If it looks like liquid sliding across the top of it, it's not ready to flip, even if there are holes coming through. And once you do flip it, it really doesn't need long at all, like 1 minute, and then take it off, particularly if they're going to sit for a little while you do the next batch. Otherwise you overcook it and they become kind of rubbery. Particularly if you're using a mixture that doesn't have a lot of oats or doesn't use whole egg. If you're dieting really deep, it probably doesn't matter because everything tastes amazing when you're dieting that hard. I also always turn the heat down after the first batch. So by the time you're doing a second or a third batch, turn the heat right down because the pan is holding a lot more heat now. Also, your mixture will have started to thicken because it's been sitting near the heat. So in some cases, you might need to add some extra milk or water to thin it back out. You bet I try and get every bit out of there because if I'd counted these macros, I want to eat them. And here is my stack. Just cooking up 120 grams of berries in the pan. So these are frozen berries and I'm just cooking them up so they're absorbing some of the cinnamony flavors. Once they're cooked, obviously I will add them to my stack and they're ready to go. And now I'm really excited to eat this. And I think it's something that's really important to keep in mind when you are dieting particularly, is that you incorporate foods that you really enjoy and that you're excited to eat. It doesn't make you feel like you're always missing out. And this is why I love flexible dieting. You can eat the same meal and target it for growth, or the same meal and target it for fat loss, and not feel like I can't have that because I'm on a diet. That mentality ruins diets every day. I hope you enjoyed that and learned something about small swaps you can make to change the calorie composition of your meal. And if you do make pancakes based on this recipe or any of the others that you find in the highlights on my Instagram, tag me in. I love a good pancake pic. Anyway, have a good day.